Hello everyone, this is Bubli and the key was provided by the developer. I'm not saying it's a review because it won't be a review. I'm going to show you the game and you can give it a score. I'm not gonna give this game a score because for once I hate the genre, and second problem is that I'm very bad at this. I really can't play games like this. So I'm only going to show you what it is, just state the facts, and I also can talk about my emotions. But I'm not gonna score the game because, I would have to give it 0 because I hate it. But that doesn't mean that somebody won't like it. So somebody can say this is challenging and it's awesome and it's 10 out of 10. So no score from me, but I'm gonna try to show it to you. And then I will say what I think. Alright, so let's go to resume. This is the very beginning of the game. Now the idea is that we have this character, and if we press mouse, we're gonna sort of blow at the character. So he is going to go the opposite way, right? I'm blowing from the bottom, he goes up. And then he falls down, because you can only blow a certain amount of time. And the whole game is based on this. So you can do something like this. And I remember a game where you were doing it with saying something to the microphone. It was quite interesting concept. You had a balloon and you could do this by using your voice. Here you only use a mouse. So you can do something like this, right? Until you run out and then you fall down. And going anywhere in this game means that you have to do the whole level without crashing into anything at one go. You have one attempt. If you screw up, you start over. So this is as frustrating as possible. This is extremely frustrating. On the other hand, you can say that this is challenging, that this is what you like. Well, this is clearly not what I like. I'm gonna do this. Right. And so far I was unable to finish any level, to be honest. That's why I can't really give it a review. I can only show it to you. I can give you first impressions and my emotions about the game. Not really score it. Well, clearly I don't like games based on one idea, because they are just not enough content. That this is one thing. Even if the levels are interesting, you only do one thing all the time, so you don't get anywhere. You only beat it. Like you beat at it until you beat it. But you don't really level up, you don't unlock anything, it doesn't get anywhere. Right? Did I do it? Or I died? I don't know. The game just got cancer and stopped responding. Probably I died. No, I didn't. I actually beat a level first time. So, if you can touch this loading item, you can keep going, right? We can keep going now. We can keep going. And I failed. And we have to start over. And after a couple of attempts, you're so frustrated, at least I am, I just quit. And there is 50 levels of this. So, the game has a working gimmick, it has content, it has graphics that are okay for this, because you don't need more if you're just doing this one thing, right? Oh, it's gonna be bad. I have to hit something to load, so basically you start over. Going up. I think we lost the loading, right? So I can't load now. I can't even land. For me, it's a game with really bad controls. But for someone, it could be the strong part of the game. That this is challenging, right? This is something that people play probably to prove that they can do it, because there isn't really anything to get here aside from just seeing the levels, which are not that beautiful. They are just okay, and well, I don't know how do you land really. I guess you just have to hit the ground like this. So if this is an element of some big complex game, I don't mind it that much. I don't like it, but I don't mind it as much. If this was an element of shoot 'em up or of some Metroidvania, I still wouldn't like it, but I would take it. Like if this was in Hollow Knight, I would say, oh, this section sucks, but the game is good. Now, this is the entire game. Like that's the only thing you do. You get this gimmick and you either love it and you say it's fun and challenging and you feel satisfied, or you're pissed. I'm pissed and I hate it. I hate the concept of just playing a game with one thing, because, well, that's it, right? Either you get good at this and then you're only good at one gimmick in one game, or you don't, and then you are stuck on first level and you can't play. And I don't even want to play it, because, as I say, as an element, this could be a mildly annoying thing that you might go through if you're desperate. Like, if you see stuff like this in, let's say, Salt and Sanctuary, you will curse, but then you will maybe do it because you have the whole rest of the game out there. Just this one annoying element, one jump, one time jump, one platforming section that you don't necessarily like or want. Like, imagine stuff like this in Tomb Raider, right? The whole game is awesome, looks pretty, is interesting. You like the character, and then you get this where you have to use some gimmick, let's say a jetpack, and do this, and then all the time you go back to save point. You have to do this whole section again in one go, avoid all the obstacles, which has nothing to do with the rest of the game. It's just there to annoy you. And here the entire game is this. So if you consider this fun or challenging or entertaining, then you will probably like it, you'll probably appreciate it. Now, I can only say that this works, sort of. It's very frustrating, and I think this controls is designed to just be annoying and frustrating, but you might also say that this is what gives the game this high difficulty and satisfaction, and I can't really deny it, because for some people it might be exactly that. I can only say that I don't personally like it emotionally, but it's hard to talk about games only based on emotions. Like, what I personally like, I don't know if it even matters what I like. You can like Tetris, doesn't mean that Tetris is awesome. It's a brilliant concept when it was first introduced, but I wouldn't call Tetris the best game ever made. But someone can be playing only Tetris, theoretically. There might be a crazy person out there who only plays Tetris for 20 years. So I can't really deny you or him or this theoretical person that right? If you like something, if you like eating grass and you want to die out of it, then it's your life, right? You can eat grass all life if you don't die because of that. Even if you do, maybe that's what you want. I just would say, well, that's inedible. That's not something you should do, but you can argue, well, I love eating grass, so what can I say about it, right? Personally, I don't even like platformers. I hate platforming sections in games, especially if there are only one way to be done. If they have to be done one particular way. I mean, let's say Batman, right? In Batman, at least you have many tools. You can kind of try to approach a different angle. You kind of use a variety of items, even if it's one item, if it's one gimmick, you can kind of change it because it's 3D environment. You can take, let's say, glide slightly different. Like, this is 2D. You either do it perfectly or you fail. And if you fail, you start over. And you keep going like this with no progress. There's not even anything to grind. There's no experience. There's no points to get. You can't boost your character. You can't have longer flight, or you can't get a power up or an upgrade, or you can pick a different creature, right? You just have to do with what you have. You have to constantly keep playing this one gimmick until you get bored or until you finally beat it, and it's just extremely frustrating. So I'm gonna maybe stop here. This is how it looks. Well, you can barely maybe eventually beat a level after you do hundreds of trials, and that's the game. That's pretty much the game. It also has edit mode. By the way, I have no idea how it works. Copy map, import map doesn't seem to work. Maybe edit, no. Edit doesn't work. New map, maybe new map would work. Let's see if new map would work. Yeah, probably you can do something with some buttons, but you would have to check the controls for that. So yes, there is some sort of, let me just go out of this. There is some sort of editing mode for the game where you can change the maps, but I think the core of the game is just to beat the 50 levels. And as you can see, you can get frustrated, then you can maybe make it, even the first level that I thought I would never finish, I actually finished. And then I got stuck in the second one. And then I would have to again keep trying for hours the second level, then try the third one, and so on. So I'm not gonna score this game because, well, that would be unfair because I just don't like the genre. And I really hate the idea that you do one thing all the time. And even even within the genre, I've seen better games. But it's kind of like a runner. A runner is where you just go up and down and you try to go through the corridor that is shaped in a weird way. And this feels kind of like a runner. You don't necessarily have to move all the time, but to some extent it kind of behaves as a runner. You just have to keep going. Like in this case, you have to keep going up, avoiding those meteors, kind of in a specific, very specific pattern, making pauses at specific moments. Every time you screw up, you start over. There is no checkpoints. So this is annoyance incarnate. This is just what I hate about pretty much any game. Any game that does this at some point, I start hating the game. But I know that there are people who will like that, who will say, okay, I'm gonna play it, especially if they are, competitive, they wanna go to YouTube, or they want to speedrun it, or they wanna play it on Twitch, and they kind of want to like boast that they can do it. They wanna show their skill, their control, and yes, okay, if you like doing this, I'm okay with that. I can't say it's something wrong. It's just something I'm completely not interested in. And I didn't find anything else aside from this one gimmick. This fact that you just propel an object and try to go between obstacles. And that's the entire game. That's the whole thing. Let's check options. By the way, there is no way to check sound, right? So I had to kill sound in Mixer. So it should have sound regulation. At least it works in Windows. So that's a plus. But aside from that, very little options. There's no difficulty settings. There's just those 50 maps. Deal with it, right? You have to beat them or just give up. So I am personally giving up on this game. It needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be an element of something else. I don't accept games that are just one annoying gimmick. If it was in some sort of shoot 'em up or RPG or action platformer or some, well, completely different genre where you have a section like that, I could maybe accept it. I still wouldn't like it because I just hate the idea, but maybe I could sort of accept it. Like, okay, alright, well, the rest of the game is cool, so this one section doesn't kill me. If it's not too hard, if it's not too long, then well, okay, I can deal with it, but I still don't like it. For me, this is zero fun. But I know there's a group of people who go for stuff like this, and they think that the more annoying, frustrating, and just designed to make you fail the game is, the better. The more challenging it is, the more satisfying it is, and they feel some sort of satisfaction overcoming it. I think that games should work in two ways. Either you should be able to overcome obstacles in different ways, so I would need to have different characters, different tools, different paths to go, or the game should be based on mind, not on skill. It should at least have an option to pause everything, to look at numbers, and to win on the planning table before even starting to play. So all turn-based games kind of work like this. Even games that are action but allow you to make a build, for instance, Dark Souls or all sorts of hack and slash games, you can make a plan, you can design your character, and you can overcome obstacles in the way you want. It doesn't have to be in one way. Like, this is the opposite. This is the opposite of what I'm looking for in gaming. One corridor-like version that you have to go through. You have to pretty much repeat what the designer thought about. Like, you have to go in a very specific sequence, and if you mess up at any point, you start over. It's just corridor-like straightforward, linear torture, where you're just doing one thing until you master it, and then you go to next element, which is exactly the same. You have to master it and then beat it. So there is no way to think around the game. You just have to manually master this particular section of obstacles. And for me, this is like the opposite of fun and the opposite of what I'm looking for. But I know that there are people who like it. So I could say this: if you like what you see, then you can get this game, because you are actually going to get it. You are going to get 50 levels of this, and it's going to be frustrating, it's going to be challenging, and this one mechanic works. For me, it's horrible because I can't do it, but it kind of works. You know, the character actually moves in the opposite direction, and you have to do it on time, so you only have as much as this blow lasts, right? So you can only hover for a specific amount of time until you run out, or until you get the the upgrade, the power up. So that's the only thing you can deal with. You just have to propel an object in a specific vector, and that's the entire game based on one thing. If that's what you want, you're gonna find it here, and you're gonna find plenty of it. You can measure the time that I did to do first level, so you can kind of multiply it by 50, and that's probably what you get. And they might be longer levels, so it could be more than that, but this is roughly what you would get if you could speedrun it first try. And if you keep failing, then you can just assume what would you take it. Would you ever finish the game? How many attempts you would take? Like if you win 1 in 20 or 50 attempts, the game is just gonna be 50 times longer. But it would be extremely frustrating and annoying. And if you want to accept it, you can get it. By the way, it's not even that cheap. It's like $3.50. So for what it offers, I don't know, it should be $1, I guess, because it's just one thing, one thing onto the environment with, well, there's 50 levels, right? So that's quite a lot, but literally one gimmick for the entire game. This is not what I'm looking for. So I'm not gonna score it. Just deal with it, just like I had to deal with the levels. If you wanna go into discussion, like why you like games like this, or if you wanna ask me anything, then you can do it in the comment section. I'm not gonna score the game. I can just say emotionally that I per se hate it, but I can't say it's bad. It's for a very specific group of people who might like it, who might find it challenging and satisfying. Well, I don't. So that will be it for Bubli. I'm done with the game. If you want to try, then I wish you luck. I hope you can do it. But I certainly am done with the game. So that will be it for this quasi review, more like first impressions. That was Bubli, and I will see you guys in the next one.